Hi, my name is Kirsty. Welcome to Kirsty Knits and Sews. This is my podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been making. Welcome or welcome back. It is so great to be here again. This is, kind of like my little online craft group. I don't have some local crafting friends, so this is where I get to come to craft along with people. So thank you so much for being here. We have quite a few new people here at the moment, so welcome if you are new. I've done a Christmas knit along, or in the middle of Christmas knit along, and also I'm doing Tour de Fleece. So if you're here and you found my Tour de Fleece video and that's why you're here, welcome. I will be speaking about spinning a little later on. I'm going to go through all the things that I'm making, which includes, I'm not going to show the secret projects, but I have been working on secret projects. I have crochet, I have knitting, I have spinning. I have some finished objects, some things that I'm still working on. I have stats for June because it is now July 10th and it is 4:35 p.m. And I have some prizes for the last knit along, which was the tea knit along. So if you participated in that, keep an ear out, and I will also draw, well, I've already drawn prizes. I will announce who won those. What else? I think that's it. All the project pages for knitting and crochet projects will be linked down below, and through those project pages you can find the patterns if I'm using a pattern. Most of the time I use a pattern. And I also will link below any shops that I talk about. So fibre, wool, yarn, accessories, that's all linked below. If you have a question and the answer isn't linked below, then feel free to shout out and I will answer that to the best of my ability. So let's start with stats. As I say that, I have things all over here. Not as much as necessarily normal, or at least it's not taking up as much space, but I do have stuff everywhere. This is my knitting book where I track what I do. I've been using this for, I think this is my second year now. I think I started it last year. Let me check. Is that a 4? Yes. So I started it 2024. I'm only using really 12 pages a year, so it should last me a few years. But I am tempted to go back and use the one that I was using in 2022 and 2023, which is designed by, I want to say like Middlestrick or something like that, and printed. Beautiful, beautiful book. I have used them for 2 years. I changed to this, and I'm really tempted to go back to the other one just for a year, I think, and try it out. That's kind of soothing where my head's at the moment. The other one, because it's designed by a knitter, segue, I wasn't planning to talk about this, but I will, because if you keep track of your knitting things at all, you'll probably be interested. So I think it was Hannah of Middlestrick. I could get that wrong, but she is a knitter and she started designing, like digitally designing a book for her to print, and then other people wanted it, so she started printing and shipping around the world. And it is beautiful. She has graphics so you can colour in how many hours you knit a day. She has space for projects that you work in a month. She has space for notes, and then at the end she had space for where you could track all of the yarn that you own, including what comes in and what you're buying and how much it costs and things like that. And also she has just like a half-page column for you to track the projects that you do. Now, I did this for the first year and I did all of it. And I mean, I wrote every single thing that I owned into the book. And as I bought new things, I updated it in the book. The second year I did, but I kind of lost track about halfway through. I was overwhelmed with life. And I just kind of slowed down, and especially the how much knitting you're doing every day part, I kind of stopped tracking completely, because to do that for 1 month, I find interesting. To do it for 24 months, I just found a bit much. But I haven't been tracking that at all for the last 2 years, and I'm kind of interested to do that part again. I also like the idea of having a complete list of what I own and marking it off as I use it. And I'm not going to do that. I mean, I could do it in this book, but I'm more likely to do that if it's already drawn up and ready and I can just write it in. So I am considering that again. I think she usually does pre-orders in September and ships them in November. That's my memory. So I will have a look into that. If you know any more about it, then please shout out below. but I will have a look into it, and if you're interested, then I will try and remember to share that in a future episode as well. This is episode 49, by the way. Next one will be 50. I'm excited. Yeah, so anyway, I do in here, I had intended to keep track of all of the things that I made, like here you go, as an example, just my details, but I do with that on Ravelry now, and so writing it up for each page I just didn't do, but I think I can show you this. This is what I do now. So I have my page of projects Jana used, start, end, and how many grams. And then on the other page is just notes. So that's what I've been doing at the moment. I have, can I show you this? I have a Christmas theme for July, which makes me very, very excited. So I do like being able to theme it myself and do things like that. And I do have a lot of this book left. So I'm trying to debate whether I want to get the other book for a year and then maybe go back to this one. To be honest, part of it is the paper in this isn't as nice. And it kind of absorbs ink a bit more, bleeds through a bit more. And so I like the idea of going to the other one, which is just nicer to write in. That may seem like a silly thing, but I really like nice paper. Anyway, I got completely sidetracked. Stats for June. Now in June, I used 1,748 grams. That is almost 2 kilos of yarn. 2.5 skeins short of 2 kilos of yarn. That's insane. If you're new here, I did not knit that much last month. That is the total amount of yarn in the projects that I finished last month. So one of those projects was a blanket, and it used 1.3 kilograms, 1,291 grams to be exact. And I started it in May 2022, and I finished it 12th of June this year. So I did not knit all of that in that month. That was knit over 3 years, and I finished it last month. So that's how I track it. I don't weigh blankets or weigh yarn that go into scrappy blankets. I just count it at the end, and it feels good to have a big chunk out in 1 month. So that's done. I also finished a cowl, some socks, and a jumper for my daughter. So 4 objects, almost 2 kilos of yarn. That felt good. I did almost finish another object, and I would have, except that I wanted it to count towards my Christmas gift along. So I actually held off on casting that off, finishing it off, until the 1st of July, and then I finished it off, and it counted towards July stats. I can do that. I didn't bend the rules. I did the rules. I just didn't cast off the project. Anyway, I'll get to that in a few minutes. So that's that. Before I go into what I have finished, I am going to tell you who are the winners from the tea knit along. So we have just finished the tea knit along, and we've just started the Christmas and July knit along. So let me tell you about them. The tea knit along we did from the beginning of May to the end of June, and it was just knit a tee. A t-shirt, something basically that doesn't have long sleeves but is still a garment. And I finished one complete tee and started a second one. Some people worked on one and didn't finish. Some people finished a whip and then started a new one. It was really fun. And we had a nice chat over on Ravelry, as well as in the comments here about what people have been making and working on. And I've drawn one winner from the discussion thread over on Ravelry and one winner from the finished objects thread over on Ravelry. The tea knit along prizes. I am making some project bags with prizes, and I haven't quite finished them. They will be finished soon. They will be finished today probably. But I got to the point where I wanted to record this, and if I finished them before I recorded it, then I wouldn't record today. So I will finish them soon. But both prizes will be a project bag, a little notions tin, which inside has some stitch markers, and these are just some round needle stoppers. So there is one of them for each winner. Each winner will win a yarn bowl. How cute are these? They have little tails for the yarn to come out, and they're sheep. I love it. If you know the book, Where is the Green Sheep? It's a green sheep. But it is printed with black and green filament. So you've got half of the black sheep and half of the green sheep. And then you've got a rainbow sheep. Love them. I did print one for myself as well. So this is my one, which is orange and pink. I love them. So yeah, me and my husband have a 3D printer. So these are just printed on our 3D printer. But yes, yarn balls of sheep, sorry, not of green sheep, of sheep. And then each winner will also win a 50-gram skein of Grundle Hot Socks colour. So there'll be one for each winner. And then of course the project bag, which this is one of the project bags. It's just not finished. I will put footage on top here of the finished project bags and maybe even the prizes all together so you can have a little look-see. Okay, so the first winner who will get the... Which way do I do it? Alright, the first winner who is going to get this bowl with the bag with the trees on it and the rainbow yarn is Wool Hobby. So congratulations. Get in touch with me on Ravelry to let me know where to ship that to and I will send that over to you. And then the winner of the floral bag with the rainbow sheep and the bluey purple yarn is Ellie Gwen. So congratulations Wool Hobby and Ellie Gwen. Like I said, let me know on Ravelry what your shipping addresses are and I will send those to you. Congratulations and thank you everyone who joined in the tea knit along. It was really fun. And for everyone who's joining in the Christmas knit along, I'm excited too. The Christmas in July one started on the 1st of July and will finish on the 31st of August because August has 31 days. And that one is basically work on a gift for someone or work on something that is Christmas themed or work on something that is with an advent. So that is pretty wide. Whips are welcome. It doesn't have to be a Christmas gift. It can be a birthday gift. It can be an anything gift, but a gift for someone. And yeah, just work on it. So I have written down, guys, it got bigger, 40 things that I am working on for that Christmas in July. And that's still with the 6 different objects counted as one. So 40 things that I'm working on now for that. I had a few chats with family members and it got bigger. Yeah. Anyway, so I've made a list of the things I want to make for gifts and it just keeps growing. Where was I? Yeah. So work on it, join in. Again, there's discussion and chatter threads over on Ravelry, which will be linked down below so you can find that easy. Yeah, I guess that's probably it for that. So, all right, what have I finished? Drinking iced coffee in my Highland Cow cup, homemade iced coffee. Oh, and what I'm wearing. I am wearing the Butterfly Papillion shawl, which I finished a couple of months ago. It is all done with short rows, so it's 2 colours and short rows, and it is done in unique earth yarns, unique fingering and harvest fingering. So I think unique is the changeable one and harvest is the dark blue, which was I think in colour indigo. Again, all the information is on my project page if you actually want the particular numbers and things. And I'm using a shawl cuff, but my shawl cuff is just my bracelet that I usually wear. So it's actually a tape measure, a leather tape measure that I decided to use as a shawl cuff today, which I usually wear as a blanket. A bracelet. Yeah, so that's what I'm wearing. And the dress that I'm wearing, I also made. It is, I want to say Ali and Mac design, but I don't know what it is. I made it in 2020 in lockdown. So I don't remember what it is, but I made the dress as well. So I'm just wearing everything I made today. All right, I just wanted to get them in because I usually forget it. So what have I finished? My first one, which I did finish on the 1st of July because I wanted it to count towards the Christmas in July make along, because I did count it as one of my projects. I finished Scrappy Socks. So these are DK Weight Scrappy Socks. They are the pattern DK Vanilla Weight Socks by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. And I just held 2 strands of fingering sock yarn, held double. So I did do the same, one of the same colours held for the cuffs, heels and toes. There was a kind of taupey brown. But other than that, I just went crazy. I pulled out all of my greens, some of my blues, browns, yellows, and I just held them together. When one finished, I cut it off and I started the next. I did sew in the beginning and end ones, but throughout, as I was changing colour, I would just hold it together for 5 stitches, or 3, and then drop the one that was finishing and keep going with the other 2. I didn't tie them in any more than that because I was only ever changing one colour at a time. There was one strand that was being held continuously while I was changing colour, so it's not going to come undone. I may end up with a few stitches pop out. Like, I don't know if you'll see that. There's a little puffy bit there. I'm not worried. The person these are for will not be worried. So yeah, I'm very happy with that as a way to use up every scrap of my yarn and to not have to weave in all the ends. Love it. So for DK Weight Scrappy Socks, I think that's what I'm going to do from now on. What else about them? They are size medium in the pattern. This is the second pair that I've done for this person, and I'm saying that as if they don't know who it is. These are for my dad. If he's watching this, he'll know they're for him as soon as he sees them because he requested them. I did 50 rows for the leg. So it is, don't know if you can hear that siren. If you can, I'm sorry. It's 50 rows for the leg, and I don't think it was much more than that for the foot, to be honest. But I don't know. I just did it according to his size for the foot. These are for painting, like on location artist painting in a cold Tasmanian winter. So you have another pair of socks coming, Dad. You just don't know which present they're for. That I started on, here we go. I started them on the 8th of June and finished them on the 1st of July. So I could have finished them quicker, but like I said, I think I held off doing the toe for about 2 days so that I could finish them on the 1st of July. Then after I finished them, I started another pair almost straight away. Aren't they fun? I love how these turned out. Like, I love it. My husband said they kind of reminded him of fireworks, which I see. One of the yarns that I used is this one, which is, when I did it on a beanie, it did a, in fact, is that it there? I think I have the beanie here. Let me show you this. I always get fascinated with how yarn works up in different circumferences. I did wash all of our winter knits, so I've got all of my beanies and socks and stuff up here. So this is, now I've put the yarn down, this yarn. And so you can see the flashing that you get here as it kind of goes around. So this is yarn that my son dyed, I believe, and I soaked the yarn in vinegar. I gave him a stamping paintbrush, like a foam paintbrush thing, and food dye. And I gave him blue and red, and I said, here you go at it. And so he basically painted the skein, and then I boiled it, or steamed it, I think, to set the colours. It was super fun and something that I would totally do again, and I may even do this holidays this summer. So then I knit him a beanie out of the skein that he dyed, and I had quite a bit left over. So I also had some purple yarn, and so I held this double with the purple, and you get this really cool, like almost micro striping effect of the yarn. Yeah, it is. It's every other row. And so, yeah, it just kind of looks like fireworks. And so I'm not American, I'm Australian. I live in Poland. But it's just kind of giving me 4th of July-ish vibes. But it's got dark purple in it. And so it just is so beautiful to get the depth of the purple in there with the blue and the yellow, blue and red and white flashes too. So there you go. The same yarn, 3 different ways. So these ones I started on the 1st of July and I finished on the 4th of July. How funny. 4th of July vibes. I finished them on the 4th of July. But yeah, so these ones are slightly smaller than these ones, like the foot size is smaller. These were 119 grams. These were 105 grams. So doing one skein held double wouldn't have been big enough for either of them. And I think I did 40 rounds for the leg on this one, 50 for this one. So yeah, if you're interested in DK scrappy socks, that gives you an idea of how much yarn you need for them. And these are also a gift. I'm not going to say who for, but they are a gift. That was all the finishes that I had written down, but I have finished some other things since I wrote my notes. So these ones I actually finished this morning. I wasn't sure if I was going to record today or yesterday, so I wrote the notes yesterday and then finished this morning. And I finished some mittens. Now it is summer here, I know, but my niece and nephews have asked for mittens. They've asked their mother, and I said, well, there's a really easy pattern that you can make. These are the world's simplest mittens by Tin Can Knits. Free pattern, very easy. And then my dad was like, or my mum, one of them said, that sounds like an auntie job. And I was like, oh, I can make the mittens, that's easy. So there's been through a few iterations. If you watched my making plans video, this is not the yarn that I was planning to make mittens with. And I did do a stash organization and recorded that. And so if I edit that and post that, you will have a different yarn picked out again. But what I ended up doing is I spoke to my sister and she said that there were 2 favorites. 2 of the kids had blue as their favorite color and one had yellow or capybara brown, which I thought was cute. So I ended up going scrap diving, and I picked up scraps. And so these, you can see there's one color here, another here, another here, and another here, and for the sum. So I've held one color throughout the whole thing, which was like a robin's egg blue, and then I've striped in the other ones. Now, I did these 2 at a time, which means that I knit them on the same needle at the same time, and I held the yarn, like the same yarn at the same time. So I had 2 balls going at once, but I was pulling from the inside and the outside of both balls the entire time. It was a bit insane. I would not recommend it. It's not for the faint of heart. I just wanted to have them match, and rather than splitting the ball and trying to make it as even as possible, I just wanted to use it all up and make it match. And so that's what I did. And it was a bit painful. There was lots of detangling, but I went for it, and I'm not sorry I did. These are delightfully soft. The robin's egg one that's held throughout, I think, is an organic merino from Daffodil Road Yarns. I used it for my Shui Shui Shrug that I made last year or the year before. So it is delightfully soft. I have an entire like shrug out of it, or one. It's one of the 2 colors in the shrug. But yeah, so this is delightful. And Melinda, my sister, you may have to de-pill a little bit because it does pill, but hopefully being held double, it won't be so bad. So these are for my nephew who will be 13 very, very soon. And his favorite color is blue. And he now will have mittens that he can use when he's riding his bike around town. So delightfully soft. All right, so that is done. I started them on the 4th of July, and I finished them today. And I haven't even written them in my book that I finished them today. and today is the 10th of July. So I'm going to write that down now, and I'm going to weigh them so you know how much they are. Because I have done child-sized mittens before, and they were about 50 grams. So let's see how big these are. Adult medium, I believe. 72 grams. All right. So that is in my book, 72 grams out of my stash. And yeah, they were really fun to knit, very easy. Sorry about the banging if you can hear that. That's just my little scale. Super handy. I got it from Amazon. It does 2 decimal places and up to 500 grams. Love it. What about these? I did recommended needle size. I did the DK weight instructions because I held 2 fingering double, but the instructions do have fingering, DK, worsted, and maybe bulky instructions. So depending on what you have, you can make from toddler to adult large mittens with a free pattern. And it's so simple. So they are done. The next one that I have to show you, they're all my finished objects, I should say. Yeah, I'll do spinning finishes in a little bit. But on the same vein, I started another pair. So for my nephew who loves yellow, I've started some yellow mittens. So this is the same deal. I'm holding 2 yarns and I'm pulling from the inside and the outside of the ball. This one is from last year's advent calendar. It was a Christmas one that my sister dyed, I believe, based on Elf. I want to say maybe like the breakfast spaghetti colorway. So yes, I'm just pulling 2. I have a couple of more. I actually had more yellow in my stash than I expected, to be honest. I don't use yellow much, but I found a few yellow scraps, and this one looks white, but it's got a nice yellow bump inside. So I'm just going to pick one, use it till it runs out, change it, use it till it runs out. I suspect this one I'll probably be able to hold the whole way through, but maybe not. I've probably got about 15 grams left. So no, maybe halfway and then I'll change it. We'll see. And if I run into trouble, I can hold white with yellow at some point, but I should have enough yellow to get through to the end. These ones are going to be the child size. They're for my nephew who is slightly older than my son, and my son still wears his child size ones, so I think it'll be okay. And then the next one that I have to do will be another blue one in the adult small size. So I'm doing 3 different sizes, 2 different colors, yeah, and holding them double. To hold them double, to do them on the same needles, I'm doing basically the same thing as Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady does for her 2 at a time socks. And so what I did was I cast on 1 and I knit 3 rounds, and then I put them on the try-it-on cord. So I've just got a little piece of try-it-on cord in here. And then I cast on the other one and I knit 3 rounds, and then I knit the front of that. I put the stuff that was on the try-it-on cord onto the back needle, and then knit across the front and then around the back. So every time, yeah, then I'm just knitting each one individually but at the same time. So it's row for row. I particularly like that for this pattern because there's a few things where you need to do this many repeats or knit to this amount, and so rather than putting the markers every 10 rows to know what amount I'm knitting to, I just measure it. When it's ready, I go. I did do the thumbs separate. So once I finished the mitten, the finger tops, I then cast them both off, or took them both off, and then put the thumbs on one, picked up the thumb stitches on one, knit them, picked up the thumb stitches on the other, knit them. But the rest of it was done 2 at a time. And for the thumb, what am I thinking? Oh yeah, when I'm putting the thumb stitches on hold, I have a tiny, I don't think I'm going to be able to find it, but I have a piece of this where I've just chopped that much off twice, and I just put the thumb stitches on that tiny little bit. So it doesn't get in the way, it's not a big, bulky, like giant safety pin type thing. It's just small, flexible, not a bother. So yeah, next time they should be done, and maybe even the second pair too. The third pair, I should say. Okay, the next thing that I've been working on, oh, I should say I have been working on secret projects. I've been working on 4 secret projects. I did count them up. I'm not going to show you anything here because they're different levels of secret. Actually, 3 of them are secret. One of them that I'm not going to show you is the wedding quilt that I'm doing, and right here beside the basket there's this tiny little pile. I finished cutting for the wedding quilt that I'm making. But I haven't done anything really to show you that's different from what I've showed you before. So I'm making a quilt for my friend who got married a year ago, and I didn't get it to her by her 1st year anniversary, but I am going to finish it and give it to her hopefully by her 2nd year anniversary. And yeah, that is sitting there waiting. I've done all the cutting, and I've done about 1/3 of the applique that I need to do, and then I'll have to sew the whole top up together because there is 240 squares that I'll then need to sew together, and then quilt, and then bind, and then it'll be finished. So maybe when I get like the quilt top done, I'll show you that. It's pretty great. So it's not a secret project, that one, but I'm not going to show you. The other 3 are secret projects. So let's move on to what I can talk about. All right, this next one I started on the 26th of June, and I kind of knew that I wasn't going to be working on it much because this one is for me. But I also was hoping it would be a much quicker project than it is. Do you ever do that? You're like, I can start this, I can smash it out, it'll be done, I can use the object. And then you start it and you're like, oh, I completely underestimated how long this is going to take. Well, that was this one for me. So this is called the Rosal Cardigan, and it is a free pattern. And let me see, here we go. It is a free pattern. Like, how cute is that? I was wearing a dress that was sleeveless, and I thought I just want something to give a little bit of warmth. I don't want a full jumper. My really own, like, only lighter jumper in terms of size, like not, how do I put this? I have a fingering weight cardigan which goes really well over dresses, but it's made with mohair and merino. So it's great for like autumn cool weather, but not for summer cool weather because it's still way too hot for summer cool weather. So I thought something like this in a cotton would be really nice. I didn't have yarn for it, so I did end up buying some viscose yarn for it. And I looked on Ravelry at the project pages, and a whole lot of people struggled to get gauge, and a whole lot of people said there were problems with the pattern. So I'm kind of using the pattern loosely to get what I want because I do like it's beautiful stitch pattern. But I am using, I guess technically it's a 3-ply yarn that I'm using. So here we go. I got some Kokonki viscose, and it is the colour Migdal, which means almond, and it is 1,200 meters for 225 grams. So this yarn, you get 3, I don't know how you'll see that, but you get 3 plies of yarn. They're not spun together, they're just put together. And so this is really cool. I've used their yarn before for a crochet project for my mother. And so because it's not spun together, you can pick whatever colors you want and they can put it into a gradient. They changed it at different points. Like, there are all sorts of fun things they do. I just picked the almond color Migdal because I thought nice and simple will go with everything. I then started it. So this uses a 3mm hook. It is crochet, and I've done this much. Like, it's barely, there you go. I've started the next row. So tiny. I did only work on this one night. So I did all of this during, I think, Pirates of the Caribbean 2. My husband and I watched it one night. So yeah, it's very, very early days. I don't know if I'm getting gauge. I'm just going to go for it. I think this is meant to be the back. So it kind of depends on how much, it's got a lot of stretch in this. So I don't know if it's going to stretch out, or I suspect it'll stretch up because of the way that, yeah, I don't know. So I'm going to keep going with it, but I have put it away because it's not a Christmas gift. It doesn't fall into the Christmas in July knit along. And so I'll put it away maybe for September. If I want to get this out again, I can. Yeah, it definitely wasn't the super quick one that I was hoping for, and I should have known that because it's fingering weight yarn, not DK weight. But also, I wanted fingering weight because it's hot. So anyway, that is that. Is there anything else to say about that? I started it on the 26th of June. Yeah, if I run into problems with the pattern, I will let you know. But I haven't so far. I also haven't checked gauge because, hello, it's me. I don't check gauge. All right. The next thing that I have to show you are some socks, or a sock. I have not finished the first sock yet, but I have started. So this one is the Vincent Van Gogh Starry Night, so opal Vincent yarn. I spoke to my mother-in-law about this, and she named a few more people who would love Van Gogh socks. Thus my list got longer. And this is where I'm up to. So I'm past the heel, I'm past the gusset, but this is a size 40, 47 European shoe, like size 13 Australian or something. It's going to be quite a long foot. I'm doing the Rhinebeck Roomies pattern, which is a Crazy Sock Lady pattern, and I love that because I mean, it adds a bit of squish, but the texture I just thought was really fun for a Van Gogh, like Van Gogh's style. I just thought was really fun there. If you want to look at the yarn not with a pattern, that's the vanilla, that's the bottom of the sock. But yeah, so it's still quite Van Gogh-y, but I just loved the idea of that. Sorry, my ear has just gone like a weird not popping thing. Okay, so that is all I've done on that one. I started that on the 19th of June and I haven't even finished the first sock. So we'll see when I get to that. But at the moment, that's okay. I am getting quite warm, so I'm going to take this one off. Whew. And keep going. All right, the other thing that I have to show you, which, Dad, skip ahead, I will put a timer up here for where to skip to, is for my dad. This is in a bag that I made. I forgot to say, I do have a tutorial here. So if you want to make a bag like this, I have the tutorial linked below. This is 11 inches this way by 14 inches this way. So if you're wanting to make the same size as the prizes, that's the only change that I've made to the project bag tutorial. That is linked below, so you can make your own. And this is what I have done for my dad. Dad, I hope you've skipped. So this is the yarn that I got. Oh, so pretty. So this is a Suri alpaca mohair, and then this is 100% merino. Yeshini Glimmer doesn't tell me where the merino is from. It's definitely not like an Australian soft merino, but it is merino, Suri alpaca mohair, and I am holding these together to do a Moby neck, which I do have the pattern here and can show you. This is a paid for pattern by Petite Knit. I'm dropping everything everywhere. So it's basically like a turtleneck, but only the neck part. It doesn't have the sleeves or the body, and that makes it really great for wearing undercoats. Kind of instead of a scarf or a cowl, you can use this. And I have only really just started. Just making sure I'm showing you the right side. Yeah, only just started. I did knit the ribbing twice because there are 2 needle sizes in the pattern, and I just assumed the ribbing would be with the smaller needle size. It's not. The ribbing for the body is the same as the knit for the body. I think the smaller needle size is just for the neck. So I'm following the pattern exactly. I did rip it out and redo it. And even though it was held double, that didn't cause too much of a problem. So I've only done the ribbing and maybe 4 rows, very, very little bit. I'm excited to get back to this and to get to the next colour. You can see the next colour peeping through, so it won't take long to get there. But I just haven't really done it. We did go away for a few days, and so I worked on this while we were away, just bits and pieces, and I haven't picked it up again since we've been home because I've been distracted by other things. So I will get that one done. I think the last one I made, I think it was like 2.5 weeks for me to finish the entire thing. So once I start knitting on it, if that gets my focus, it won't be too bad. But yeah, so that's the Moby neck. And they are all of my whips. They're all the things that I've been working on, except for spinning. So let's go spinning for a second. All right, Tour de Fleece has started. I have been kind of tiptoeing around the edges of Tour de Fleece for a couple of years now. The first year I heard about it, I don't even know if I had a spinning wheel, but I was like, this sounds amazing. And maybe I'd already learnt to do spindle spin. No, maybe not. I think I'd heard about it, was like, that sounds cool, but I don't have any way to spin. Then the next year I had a spindle and I just got my wheel. And so I kind of was like, I want to, but I don't actually have much stuff to spin. And so I, again, did a little bit and didn't work on it much. Last year, I just moved back to Poland. I'd been in Australia for a few months, and so I'd just come back to Poland. And again, I was like, I love the idea of just sitting and spinning every day, but I didn't join a team. By the time I thought maybe I'd want to join a team, it was a bit late. I was a little bit nervous about joining a team. I should say Tour de Fleece is, if you don't know, Tour de Fleece is where people spin yarn at the same time that people are doing the Tour de France, which is a bicycle race. So spinning, bicycle, spinning, yarn. Play on words, that's what's happened. And so people join teams, which just means you spin together. Some people are really competitive and they're trying to get a certain goal every day. They have challenge days when there's challenge days in the Tour de France. I've joined this year the Stash Dashes, which is run by Melly Knits, and it's just basically use your stash. Super relaxed. Love it. And I'm not planning to buy any more fibre right this second, so using my stash works really, really well. So I decided to jump in and actually sign up this year, and yay. It's been really great to, if I have a problem with spinning, I have a group of people that I can just ask a question of, and they have huge amounts of knowledge and are quite happy to be like, hey, draft quicker, draft slower, do this, do that. Yeah, so I'm finding it really, really helpful from the help aspect, from the motivation aspect, and it does mean that I haven't done as much knitting in the last few days because I've been spinning, and I've been spinning a lot. So the first thing that I spun, if you've been here a while, I finished my Alpine Bloom spin. Yeah, so I am also, another knit along I'm participating in is Ange from Jana. She does 12 cast-ons where you cast on up to 12 projects from the 24th of December to the end of January, and then you work on them until the next Christmas, basically. You work on them for the rest of the year. And my day 9 project this year was the Alpine Bloom tee. But it wasn't a cast on, it was a starting to spin it, because I had yarn I wanted to spin for the contrast colour, and I kind of worked on it bits and pieces. When I started tour, I had done maybe half the singles, and I finished the singles and plied it all in the first few days of tour. So that gives you an idea of how much I just kind of sat and spun. Yeah, we're on holidays at the moment. Kids are on summer holidays. We're taking some time off work to reset, get used to a new routine. So yeah, I had a lot of spending time, and it's still on the bobbin. I haven't washed it, I haven't skeined it yet, but this is it. It's looking very pinky there. It's not all pinky. There's some parts that are more orangey and more greeny, but the final layer was pretty pink and orange. I am so excited. There is about, I think in the end, about 170 grams of yarn here. And it's fingering weight. So I will have way more than I need. I think I only need 200 meters. So I've probably got, I don't know, closer to 700 meters here. So I've got way more than I need for what I'm actually spinning. But yes, 3-ply, fingering weight, so happy. But yeah, that gives you an idea of how much I've spun in the last few days rather than knitting. So yeah, that is 100% merino. I got the fibre from Expressia Art, which is a fibre company here in Poland. And it was hand-dyed merino roving that I did. I split into a 1-2-4 fractal spin. So it'll be a slow colour changing kind of yarn, which is perfect for the Alpine Bloom. So I need to now skein that, wash it, and I will at some point start knitting the actual t-shirt, which was my 12 cast on. So yeah, Ange, I did it, yay! I probably again I'll finish the yarn, so I'll skein it, I'll measure it, I'll wash it, I'll dry it, and then I'll put it away until after the Christmas in July, I think, and maybe cast it on in September. Oh, it could be a birthday cast on. Oh, that's exciting. I think what I need to do is a birthday month cast on. My birthday's in September. So if I cast on yarn at the beginning of September and do a birthday cast on, then I don't run into the whole butting up against the Mystery Knit Along, Stephen West Mystery Knit Along. Because if I start something on my birthday, which is the end of September, and then cast on a giant shawl that I focus on very much throughout October, I just don't get any of my birthday knit along knitting done. But if I do a birthday month cast on, all right, plans forming. After I finished that, I then wanted to try long draw, and so I pulled out a bat from Fibre Art Shed. It was a scrappy bat, so again merino, and I spun that up. And this one I did a little different. It's still kind of a fractal. It's not really a fractal, but it will be a bit of a color change. So the first one, so I split the whole bat into two, and the bats were kind of, if I have photos, I'll put them up here if I remember. So the bats were kind of 4 main colors. And so I split the bat into 2, and for one half I just split into kind of 8 equal pieces and spun them yellow to light blue, yellow to light blue, yellow to light blue. So they've got kind of that 4 color regular changing. The other half I split it lengthways, so I had 4 different sections of different colors, and then I split the yellow one into 3 and held that partly, like 1/3 with each of the other colors. And I started with the dark and I finished with the light. So it meant that I have a large section of dark blue, a large section of blue, and a large section of light blue, all with bits of yellow throughout it. And I did that partly because I thought the yellow was overpowering, and I wanted to blend it a little more rather than having really stark bits of yellow. So like even here you can see that's yellow and light blue together, and that's making it a bit muddier already. I didn't do it enough to actually turn it into green. It's still blue and yellow, but I think I did manage to blend that yellow through a little bit more rather than having just giant sections of quite bright yellow. So I'm excited to skein that up and actually see what the yarn as a whole looks like. That's the darker section. So yeah, surprisingly that's the darker section. There was a part that ended up blue and light light blue and yellow in the darker section. So this is probably, once it's done, going to be probably a worsted weight 2-ply woolen spun. Yeah, and that will just go into my yarn stash. I don't have plans for this. I was just practicing long draw. Whoops, just dropped it. And then the one that I'm currently working on, I've only done a tiny bit, and I haven't brought it to show you because I didn't, like, I've done one layer on the first bobbin. But I'm now working on a grey Shetland, which is tops, which means it's very fall-aparty. Spins beautifully, drafts beautifully. It's going to be very fine, very fine. And will probably take quite a while to do. So I'm doing 150 grams of that, and will probably end up fingering weight. Fun times. All right. Oh, spoiler, do you see these? I picked out 12 yarns to work through this year when I did my stash video. You'll have to wait for the stash video to see them a bit closer. I also have tea. I have iced coffee and I have tea. The tea is Fort Mason from Fortnum & Masons, which is a British company that I can't get because they don't ship to Europe anymore. But when I have people who go to England or London, England, I always see if they can pick me up some Fortnum & Mason. All right, where are we? So that is all of my spinning. Like I said, we did go away on holidays for a few days, and yeah, I got quite a bit of knitting done while I was away, and secret project making that I can't talk about yet. But I focused on one of my secret projects a lot while I was away, and then did the DK weight socks as well. I was planning to do the mittens while I was away, but I didn't read the instructions properly, and I went, oh, 3.25mm needles. That's the same as the socks. I've got the socks, so I don't need to, you know, get more needles. And then I realized that that was just for the ribbing, and then you change. And I was like, I can't start them because what am I going to do? Like, I'll get to the end of the ribbing and then I'll be like, well, that's a project I can't work on. But I had the yarn for the other DK socks, so I'd made them instead while I was away. And as soon as I got home, cast on the DK mittens. Yeah. I did want to say hi, if you're watching, to Alison of Grumpy Ginger Yarn Co. Hi. My sister and my auntie and my sister's best friend went to Grumpy Ginger Yarn Co., which is a small yarn shop in, I believe it's Wyong. I didn't double check. If it's not Wyong, I will put it on the screen, but in the central coast of New South Wales. And my sister and her best friend have gone away for a couple of days, staying at my aunt's house. So they all went to this yarn shop, and then they were talking about things with Alison, and this podcast came up, and Alison's like, oh, I know her, I watch all the time. So hi, Alison, if you're watching this episode. It just made me smile so much that my sister could go to a yarn shop in Australia and meet you. That sounds great. And if you're in Wyong, go check it out. My sister sent me a video of this shop. Beautiful, beautiful shop, really lovely. She has tables so you can like sit down and have a cuppa or whatever and chat and just kind of hang out. But the table centerpieces are yarn and knitting needles. So if you don't have something to knit on, you could even just cast something on and just have a bit of fun. And decks of cards, so you can just sit and play a game if you really want to. But something else that she had that I thought was really fascinating and a great idea was a yarn library. Now, I don't know if this is a thing around the world, but in Australia, food libraries and book libraries have just kind of popped up, and they're public things. They're not a public library like anyone can get a library card and check out a book public library. It's just like an old fridge or a little wooden something that someone's made and stuck on the corner. And people can take books that they're done with, and people can leave books that they're done with and take books to read. And it's just this little like, take what you want, leave what you want, public library. And then people started doing them with food. And so you can, I have these tins of baked beans that I'm never going to use. You can take them down, leave them. Someone else is like, I need food. they can go and be like, oh, actually, this is great. I can go home and make dinner tonight. And it's just this really great kind of community thing that's popping up all around Australia, has been for quite a few years. But she's done it with yarn. Like, how cool is that? And so it's take a ball, leave a ball. The photo that my sister sent, I'm not going to put it up here because it wasn't a brilliant photo, but I could see like little groups of yarn. So like some of them would have been sweater quantities of maybe a cotton or a, I don't even know, like just there were larger quantities of smaller quantities. It just looked lovely. So if you're in Australia, if you're in the Central Coast or you're going past the Central Coast, go check out Grumpy Ginger Yarn Co. Say hi to Alison. Yeah, it looked like a really, really sweet shop, and I'm excited for the next time that I go visit my aunt to go and say hi myself. Yeah. I think that's all I've got today. We are deep in holidays, and I did put on a movie for the kids so that I could come up and talk with you. And that's going to be finishing very soon. They're watching Inside Out too. So I'm going to say goodbye. I'm saying this, you'll have already seen it. I was going to say I'm going to go and finish the project bags, hopefully, and get some footage before I edit this video so that you will have seen them finished and made. I'm going to pack up all of these things and choose what to work on tonight. Actually, no, tonight I'm having a games night with my husband. I'm not going to knit. We're going to be playing Sunhaven, which I have not played before. He's not played before, but we love Stardew Valley, and I think Sunhaven is kind of a spin-off. Not a spin-off like the same maker, but people saw Stardew, loved it, decided to make this, so it's got similar vibes. So we're going to start that tonight and just have a bit of a games night so that we can hang out. So I'm not probably going to be knitting much today. But I am going to go get the kids food, put them to bed so we can start playing a game, and I will edit this in the next couple of days. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. What have you been working on while I've been chatting? Are you joining in the Christmas in July-ish gift along? Wool Hobby and Ellie Gwen, please let me know your addresses so I can send you your prizes for the tea knit along. And, oh, I didn't say, these spins, I'm working them up for Tour de Fleece, but they are also part of the Spin the Bin knit along, which is held by Grumpy Sheep Happy Llama, who is another, they're a Canadian couple of friends who live in Canada. They do spinning, cross stitch, knitting, maybe crochet too. Fascinating projects they work on, but their Spin the Bin was grab a bin and spin it. And that's their spin along, just again to use Stash. So I'm using my Spin the Bin to spin for Tour de Fleece. And here's a funny one. So Spin the Bin, I had no idea what they were talking about. I just assumed, because the bin in Australia is like a trash can, rubbish bin. So I just assumed that Spin the Bin was kind of spinning the stuff that you don't really want, or it's just a fun way to say something. Yeah, like leftover stuff you haven't touched for a long time, put them in a bin, but don't throw them out, spin them. Turns out bin is like a giant plastic tub, which I also found funny because some people call that a bin and some people call that a tote. For me, a bin is a trash can and a tote is a bag. And the bin that they're talking about, which I think in England is called a tote, I would call a tub. So Spin the Tub doesn't have the same ring. So Spin the Bin, I've actually got it all in a metal container because that's what I had at the time. But yes, this is part of the Spin the Bin. I will also link Ange and Grumpy Sheep Happy Llama down below, Robin and Sylvie, so that you can go find their channels and the things that they're working on too. Alright, I think I'm done now. Thanks so much for joining me. I would love to hear about what you're making here or over on Ravelry. If you want to share a photo of what you've been making, there is a chatter thread over there that you can share what you're working on too. Alright, have a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this, and I will see you next time. Bye.